River, aka XO. Welcome to Squared. How's it going?
Good. Um, yeah, not much else to say. I'm chilling.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for this interview. So tell me, who are you and where are you from?
I am simply me, and I'm from Hobart, Tasmania. So, yeah, the little island that's on the bottom of Australia.
I love Hobart. Hobart is one of my favorite places in Australia.
I think it's either one of two things. People have a dramatic reaction 100% every time, but it's either like super negative or super positive. And most of the time it's super negative. They're like, oh, what? Hobart. I grew up there and I've been living in Melbourne for like 2.5 years now. And when I was growing up there, it felt like very constricting just because I was someone who had bigger ideas and bigger dreams than what could be fulfilled there. So it was really important for me as a kid to get out of Hobart. But now that I've been living here for a while, going back feels very like refreshing. And I think I see it in a totally different way than I used to.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people from smaller towns and smaller cities can relate to that feeling. I mean, I certainly relate to it coming from Brisbane. Did you move to Melbourne to pursue music or because you felt restricted in Hobart?
A bit of both. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to pursue music, like pursuing music, I've been pursuing music all my life. Like that didn't necessarily change once I moved to Melbourne. It was more like I want to be around more people that think the same way as I do and feel as strongly about this culture that I feel like I'm a part of, but I'm not physically a part of. I have no one here who's the same as me. So it was very much like I just want to get out into the world. One, it was just an exploration thing, and two, it was like there's more opportunity here to meet other people who are like me, and also, I mean, there's just more opportunity, period. That kind of opportunity is so much harder to facilitate in a place like Hobart, just because there's only one or two options. Whether it's Melbourne, there's heaps of options. So, and I just wanted to be amongst it. Like I love being amongst a lot of people. I was living like in the middle of the city for my first year, and that was like really good. I miss a lot of things about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, what amazed me while I was researching you is that there's nothing online about you. Like, you're very mysterious. I think you've got a very mysterious aura on social media, and there's not much that people know about you that they can find on the internet. I need to get a little bit of backstory on you. So, you were saying that you've been making music your entire life. How did you get into making music exactly?
My, I give all credit to my father. He like, before I even knew what was going on, I was like singing along to his songs and like dancing to his guitar. Like he's been recording music ever since I was tiny, so I think it just stuck with me. That was the most fun I had as a kid. And so that kind of just carried on into the rest of my life. Like, yeah, he's been making music ever since I can remember, and I was always a part of that process. He was always like, "Yes, come and do this with me." It was never like, "I'm doing this and you're over there, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want you to be a part of this thing." So there's that, and then I've always just been fascinated with music. Like he had such a diverse music taste, and I never listened to pop music or the radio growing up. So I was just like totally captured by all the music that he was listening to, and I found so much in it for myself. And that really just like one a passion for music really just led to me wanting to make it because it was just so many times listening to music I thought, how is this possible? Like, I don't understand how to do this. I don't understand how they did this. Like, I remember hearing electronic music for the first time because I was mostly brought up on bands. And I was just like, I couldn't understand. Like, I just didn't understand how it wasn't like a real drum set that was being played, like that was programmed drums. I just didn't understand that concept. I was asking Dad, I was like, how did they play these drums? And he just couldn't. I remember the answer he gave me was not satisfying. So I felt like, I don't know, I'd always just had a hunger to like learn more and yeah, a really deep passion for music.
That is such an interesting perspective. So, your dad's a musician. What kind of musician?
He's an artist. He does many things. Um, but as a kid, he was just writing songs and then playing them on guitar and singing to them. Now he makes like electronic music. Like around the time he started making electronic music, he gave me the license to Logic Pro, which is a music making software. And that's how I started making music too. I was playing around with Ableton before then, but yeah, Logic was my first introduction to actually making music and putting a whole song together. Now he makes, I mean, he just makes his music. He makes electronic music. It's like bush techno, if I can put it in a box.
This attitude towards music and this general fascination for music, what experiences in your life do you feel have shaped your sound? Was it really just your dad, or are there musicians that inspire you as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that was the spark that ignited my passion for music was being exposed to the process of making it so early in my life and it being very accepted. But like I said, my dad had a hugely diverse music taste. He was always listening to different stuff. Like, I guess like Michael Jackson was a huge influence to me when I was a kid. He was like, my mum had his hits on a cassette tape and she would play the cassette tape and we'd just listen to it and dance. And that was it. Like, there was nothing else happening. It wasn't, music was never a background in my life when I was younger. It was always, when there was music playing, it was the forefront. It was the focus. So we would just put on Michael Jackson and just and dance and sing and like that heavily influenced me as a kid. Just like the whole experience of him and that. And I know that like so many people around the world felt the same way about him. But yeah, I guess there was that. And I listened to a lot of Daft Punk growing up, and they are still probably my biggest influence to date. But I've been listening to them since I can remember. But it's just music. Like, I'm just grateful to have been exposed to so many different kinds of music at a young age. Like, Dad was listening to lots of alt rock, like metal, drum and bass, like lots of alternative music.
Well, I feel like every cool child had cool parents that listened to Daft Punk. At least in my case.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. But at the same
I
time, a lot of cool people that had to go their own way because they didn't have cool parents.
True, true. So this aesthetic that you have, the cloud motif and the snow and the color white in general, like you've got white hair and you wear a lot of white. How did you come to adopt that aesthetic?
I really don't like the word aesthetic. I never have. I remember hearing that word when it was first being thrown around as a way of describing a person, someone. Like, I don't, it's just the way I do things and the way I am and the way I portray that visually is just an extension of me. At no point have I been like, oh yeah, this is my aesthetic. Like, I wear white because that's how I feel. And I guess everything else just comes out of that, including the white. Like that just it just comes out of me. I used to wear black. Like I was wearing only black for 3 years. And then I kind of went through a period of transition where I was like, hang on, I'm not with this darkness anymore. I don't feel like this best represents me. And since I am an extremist and also very committed to things, I can very easily become committed to things. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do the opposite thing. And so the white came into being. It was a transition of me as a person more than anything.
For sure. You said that you wear the color white because that's how you feel. What does the color white mean to you?
I think at the time of the change, I was like battling the two polarities essentially, like the good and evil, the right and wrong, that whole thing. I was seeing that really and feeling that really intensely. And I just felt like the color black and being surrounded by that was just pulling me that way. And I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel represented by that. I felt that really what I want to share to the world is like light and purity and positivity. And so wearing white was just a way to embody that.
That's so interesting. It kind of feels like your artistry and your state of mind bleeds into everything that you do, and this persona that you outwardly present to people. I was talking about you being quite mysterious, but it also seems like you wear your heart on your sleeve in a lot of ways, in the way you dress. Is there one thing that you wish people knew about you? Like people that you meet in real life and people that listen to your music?
No, I don't think so. I think the people that I think I share a lot with people. And if there's something I wish someone knew about me, I would just tell them.
This is a little bit of a backtrack. The way that you sing on your songs reminds me a little bit of the way that Echo 2K sings. Are you a lyricist or a producer first?
Mm, well, I was a producer first. I started making beats before I ever touched the microphone. I was probably doing that for 4 years or 5 years before I started doing vocals. So I would say I'm a producer first, and that's kind of how I still approach my songs to this day. Like I make the the instrumental content of the music before I sing. So in that way, I'm also a producer first. Like I don't think of it hierarchically. I don't say I'm a producer over a vocalist. They exist on equal planes. I'm no more a producer than I am a vocalist. But first, I produce.
Yeah. Are you inspired by Echo 2K at all?
Um, I think a lot of people are curious about the inspiration behind certain things, and especially when they draw certain similarities between two artists. Um, I would say that it would be a lie for me to say I'm not, or like I haven't been in my past, but I haven't listened to his music in probably 4 years. Um, like since he dropped that first album. And I love his music, but that's not really, yeah, I think the higher, just doing a higher pitch vocal, obviously people draw similarities to other artists that do a high pitch vocal or like a falsetto vocal. And I guess we both make sort of electronic music, but I don't know. I think comparison is the death of like originality. And so I don't compare myself to anyone. And I take inspiration from everything, from life, from just the simple fact of being alive, and then everything that that encompasses, first and foremost. Maybe I can take inspiration from a specific event or thing when I write a song for a specific reason, but generally it just comes. Anything that I make or do just comes and is channeled through just my body as a vessel.
I'm gonna pivot a little bit. Your debut album, White Noise. I heard it for the first time a few weeks ago and I was lost for words. It's a masterpiece in my opinion. Tell me about the experiences that shaped that album and your process for creating it.
I think that album encompasses a year of my life. Like that was moving to Melbourne and being in the city for the first time and kind of the innocence of that. There were so many things that I didn't understand yet, and I was really young. Um, just being exposed to all these new experiences, new learning, new people, and lots of music shaped that. And it was never going to be an album. Like White Noise existed for a long time, but only as the name for this sound
Mm.
that I was making. It wasn't like I was initially just going to release White Noise as a series of singles that
Mm.
would be White Noise. It would still be White Noise, but it was like not an album. Only when I kind of got to the end of that year and realized that I had so much material that I could actually make an album, did I go, okay, well, I think it kind of makes more sense to try and make it a cohesive body of work. And so that's what I did. But it was only later on that, like after I'd made most of those songs, that I decided this is going to be an album.
Yeah, for sure. And that album, what emotions do you want people to experience when they listen to that?
I don't know. I don't want anyone to take what I say in response to that question and then use that to alter their experience of listening to the album. I think music is interpreted differently by every single person, and I don't want to interrupt that process by putting my own judgment. Like I feel certain things when I listen to my music and any music, but that's what I feel. And I think music is special for that reason.
Yeah, fair enough. And what were you feeling when you were making that album? We were talking about how it reflects the experience of living in Melbourne for the first time.
What
Yeah,
kind of
living in the
feeling?
city for the first time, like being around lots of people, being around finally experiencing the things that I always dreamed of experiencing. So I think it was really discovery. It was it was a discovery of a whole world that I'd been dreaming of for so long and it opening up to me. And not always in a positive way. There are a lot of things that happened that were, you know, very considerable learning experiences and challenging experiences. And I think, like I said, I think all my music just comes from, excuse me, comes from the just the essence of life. Like it comes from my life experiences and it's just being channeled. So I was feeling every emotion, you know. It's all encompassing. There's a song on that album. Each song is a different feeling, a different phase, a different moment of life.
This is what I'm really most excited to talk about. You have a brand new song. It's called Magic. It sounds like crack. Tell me about the process for making that song. Was it different to your other songs?
It's kind of interesting with this song because I've so White Noise was 6 months ago, and I've made quite a lot of music in that time, but I've also been feeling a certain type of way in that time, and that has not allowed me to really take advantage of my inspiration and let myself be inspired by things. And so magic is kind of a reconnecting with that inspiration and a coming back to myself in a way. I feel like this past 6 months, this past year even has been very like just rocky for me. Like a lot of things have flipped the script of what's happening in life. And so magic is like I made the song a week before I dropped it. Um, I've made all this music up until this point, and magic was like the first time since dropping the album where I felt like, oh, I'm making the music that's true again. I'm making music that I want to make again. Been making a lot of stuff but it's all kind of just felt like not enough.
Do you always make the same? I mean, it's hard to put you in a box. I've got some notes here about how it's hard to compare you to anyone else because you're not really like anyone. Do you always make that sort of genre or do you experiment with other stuff?
That's interesting. I think I will always be experimenting. I've made lots of different types of music. I've made music with guitars and music with, you know, so many different people. I've made a lot of rap music in my past, but like any music that I don't know, I've stopped putting music in boxes. A while ago, I stopped doing that. So that allows me to make that music that people go, oh, that's it's not it's just them. It's their own sound. It's not a certain type of thing. All that is breaking down those walls of this is this and this is this and this is this. Because really it's not separate. It's all just music. It's all just sound. Like you can pull so many different elements from different kinds of music and roll it up into one thing that you know surprises a lot of people because it doesn't exist yet.
I have a rogue question for you. If you had to drop the music that you are making now and you could never make this genre again, what would you make?
But like, what's my genre? There's no genre. Like in my head, there's no genres.
Mhm.
Like I don't think that my music is a specific genre. It's just what I make. Like I could make something different any day. I could be putting out. I could just decide to. Maybe that will happen. Maybe I will just decide to make a totally different kind of music. But I don't know what that will be until it happens because it just comes out like music. Make the process of making music is a an authentic process, meaning it's not premeditated. It's not like I'm thinking about it before I do it.
I hear you. Very interesting response. So, is there, regardless of inspiration, what are your top artists from last year that you listen to in your everyday?
That's crazy. That's a crazy question. But I'm not a gatekeeper, so I'll say some stuff. Um, One, I use Apple Music. Don't use, I mean, use Spotify, but I really don't like how they compress songs. Like the quality on Spotify isn't as good as other streaming services. So I use Apple Music. All right, this is my top five of last year. So my number one artist last year was Daft Punk. Second was Burial. Third was myself. Four was Yeet. And five was Mason 2500. Shout out to Mason 2500, the GOAT.
That is such an interesting top artists.
Boards of Canada after that.
Okay, so a fair bit of variety there. You're kind of the epitome of Charlie XCX. I want to dance to me when I go to the club, but I love it. It's so iconic. I think that Spotify or Apple Music in this case can tell you a lot about a person. And I think it does make a lot of sense considering what you've told me and the music that you've put out. I've got one more question for you. This single, Magic, is this a sign of a new project coming?
I'm gonna leave you guessing.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Okay, I think there's definitely something coming with that cryptic answer. That's fine. Well, EXO, River, thank you so much for being here today. This interview has been so much fun and I can't wait for that very likely upcoming project. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.